Hello and welcome to the Author Webinar Series, brought to you by the Nonfiction Authors Association and Writers Conference. Since 2010, we have helped thousands of writers learn to write, publish, and promote books that make a difference in the world. If you are seeking guidance for your own author journey and want to reach your goals faster, you can learn about membership benefits, courses, and additional resources by visiting nonfictionauthorsassociation.com. We look forward to connecting with you and hope you enjoy this webinar.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me for another webinar brought to you by the Nonfiction Authors Association and Writers Conference. I'm Stephanie Chandler, CEO and fellow author who started where you started. I started with no special benefits, no celebrity friends. I haven't been on any television shows. I literally built my author business from the ground up. So I know you can do the same. And today we're talking about how to own your nonfiction niche. And it's a jam-packed session. I do want to take questions. So if you're here with us live today and you have questions, pop them in the Q&A box. I will take those at the end of this session. You are welcome to continue chatting amongst yourselves in the chat, but please don't put your questions there. It's a lot easier for me to address them in the Q&A. All right, let's get this party started. So avoid the number one mistake new authors make. It is not waiting to start marketing until your book is released, although that happens an awful lot, or ignoring social media, or releasing your book at the wrong time of the year, or the length of your book, or any of those details. The number one mistake that I see authors make over and over again is that they don't have a focused audience, a niche focus. This is going to change everything for you, whether your book is already written or you're getting ready to write it. This is the secret key to selling more books. So what happens when you have a niche focus is it helps you stand out against the competition. And let's be honest, Amazon is a sea of books. There are some estimates saying as many as 1 million new titles are being released every year. It's incredible. So it is an ocean. We want to stand out in this ocean. Having a niche will absolutely help you improve your book sales. It helps you make decisions about your marketing and whether or not it makes sense to do something if it does or does not align with your target audience. For example, I get asked to speak to a lot of writers groups, and I love to do them, but many writers groups aren't necessarily my ideal target audience. If you've attended writers group meetings, you know that most of them are very fiction focused. And I could go to a group of 50 people and maybe have 2 or 3 nonfiction writers in the room. So I have discovered it is not necessarily worth my time. It informs my marketing decisions that I can better use my time elsewhere. Then, and also when you have a niche focus and you build a following, this can absolutely help you land a book deal if that is your goal. So let's look at some examples, and we're going to also go through some real world examples. But I see this a lot too. Fitness book or health guide. What if you have a general get healthy book, or you have a fitness book for women on Ozempic, super hot right now, right? If you have a memoir about your life journey, and there are so many fabulous memoirs out there, but a memoir about a life journey by a non-celebrity is a hard sell. If it's focused on a specific niche, how you overcame addiction, how you got through abuse, how you got through your divorce, how you live with an illness, these are all specific niche focuses that will help you attract your ideal readers. I see books about getting happy a lot, and I love that. Let's get happier, right? But that is very general. But what if it's about reclaiming happiness after divorce, or happiness within whatever your faith is? Happiness for Christians, happiness for Buddhists. So think about how you can narrow that focus to stand out. So let's look at some real world examples. This is Donna Maria. She is an attorney who started a online community called the Indie Business Network, and it is for makers, people who create things and sell them on Etsy. She started this in the 90s, you guys, when she was burnt out on her law career and started making soaps and lotions and realized she could help other people turn their soaps and lotions into a business. This has led to book deals. She has 2,500 subscribing members. It's a very comfortable lifestyle she's created for herself. Her Making Aromatherapy Creams book, which was a book deal she was offered in 1999, continues to be sold today. She hosts a ton of in-person events and workshops. She has a thriving, flexible business focused specifically on makers. This is Hannah Zachney. She is a therapist. We have a lot of therapists in our community, and she has built her business around her heart wide open wellness community. And she blends in her also being a yoga instructor. She runs a local women's support group. It's not online, it's local. And they meet monthly, and local groups can be great too. So she focuses on women. She brings in this holistic focus of yoga, and she hosts these retreats all over the world that sell out every time. And she's got a multi-therapist practice that has been growing and growing to the point where she just bought a new building to house everybody. Maybe you've seen the buzz around Jefferson Fisher's new book. He's somebody whose reels I've stumbled on social media. He's also an attorney who sits in his car and makes videos about how to communicate better, how to win an argument. He's all about communication. That is his focus. And his videos are really captivating, surprisingly captivating when he's sitting in his car creating 2 and 3 minute quick tip videos. And of course, this led to a book deal because he's got a ton of followers. And his entire business model has changed. He went from being an injury attorney to teaching people how to have better conversations, all from focusing on this niche topic online. I would bet many of you are familiar with John and Julie Gottman. They run the Gottman Institute, which all began with a series of books about relationships, how to have better relationships, how to save your relationship. They give advice for couples. They have certification programs. They do a lot of their own studies, and they release the results of those studies. So they've established authority as experts in love relationships. Jenny Levine Fink runs goodforyouGlutenFree.com. She discovered she had a gluten allergy and had to learn to navigate life without gluten. And she started a blog about it, and she built a community around the subject and the things she was learning to make her life easier. So imagine what happens when you've built a niche community around a specific food allergy. And then years later, you've got 20,000 email subscribers and your book comes out, your memoir about your gluten-free journey. It's brilliant. So her books have sold really well. She's attracted paid sponsorships. She last year launched subscription boxes with gluten-free gluten-free products. And it's going incredibly well, all based on a food allergy. I love Dr. Gabor Mate. He is a fascinating person to listen to his interviews or his books. He is an MD who has specialized in trauma and addiction, and he has a lot of great insights about these topics, trauma and how they impact addiction. And you'll see him, he's great on podcasts, and he's making his living now as a full-time keynote speaker, courses. He has documentary films, gets tons of media coverage all about trauma and addiction. I love the David Goggins story. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Self-published book. This is such a great example for everyone because he didn't want to give away the creative rights to his story. And he is former military, maybe he's still military, former military, who wrote this incredible book that reached the New York Times bestseller list instantly because he's built a following. And, he talks about his journey pre-Navy SEALs, how he was overweight and out of shape. And then he became a SEAL. And then he adopted all these lifestyle habits that to push through the pain. It's very based on military training. And today he's a highly paid keynote speaker, huge online following, and has built his author business around healthy practices, primarily focused for men who are also interested in military practices. It's a great crossover for healthy lifestyle. So what do these folks all have in common? They have a really clear niche focus, an audience or a topic that is very clear, that speaks to the target audience. And they understand who their audience is and what their interests, needs, and challenges are. This is how we connect with our target audience. And I'm going to break that down for you. So a question for you: who makes up your primary audience? Is it men? Is it women? Is it people ages 40 to 55? Is it ages 50 to 75? Is it teenagers? Is it people who are divorced? Is it people who are getting married? What kind of careers do they have? What phase of life are they in? These are important considerations because they help you understand your audience so that you can serve them. Do they have any special interests? Are they spiritual? Are they interested in military history or lifestyle? Maybe they love genealogy. Maybe they love true crime. What are the clues that can help you better understand your audience and figure out where they're spending time? And then what motivates them? So I'm specifically also talking to those of you who are writing memoir and narrative nonfiction. I'm a major memoir reader. I love memoir. And the thing about memoir is we want to relate to the story in some way. So it could be that I am really into true crime. So maybe that's what I'm looking for. But I also love stories about people overcoming obstacles, living a good life. These are things that I value. And so what motivates your readers? And for those of you writing prescriptive, generally they want to improve their lives in some way. So how does your book teach them to live a better life or make more money or get healthier or do something that you're teaching them how to do, right? Accomplish some sort of life goal. Maybe your audience just wants to be entertained. They want you to make them laugh. And that has great value too. There's lots of books out there, humorous memoirs and things like that. So if we break it down and we look back at David Goggins, his primary demographics, just my assumption from looking at his online presence, are probably men ages 35 to 55. They're interested in their health and self-improvement, athletics, military lifestyle. And what are their motivations? They're dissatisfied with their health, or they want to do better. They want to make an improvement. So can you see how the motivation helps him connect with his audience, right? And I did read his book and I felt like it was written for men. So I'm not just making an assumption here. That is his core audience. That also doesn't mean that you can't reach people outside of your primary audience, but it allows you to better connect with the people that you really want to connect with. So questions for you. And yes, I am going to share these slides. You don't have to write this down frantically, although you're welcome to take screenshots or photos, but I will share the slides with the recording later today. But really spend some time thinking about who makes up your demographics. What are their special interests? What motivates them? Why would they want to read your book? How is it going to impact their lives in some way or entertain them? And then what are their interests, needs, and challenges, and how can you serve them? You're here today because you are part of the nonfiction writing community. You're part of my target audience. And I am constantly paying attention to the questions I'm asked by the members of our community. What are your struggles? What do you need to learn? What do you need to know? So that I can produce content and webinars and blog posts and write books that address your interests, needs, and challenges. For those of you writing the narrative and narrative and memoir and those types of stories, what are the threads in your book? So it's likely about some sort of difficulty you've overcome. It might be tied into a passion. Maybe you've written a book about your 15-year-old dog and lessons you learned from your dog, which is a fun read, guess what, for dog lovers. That could also connect with the people who care about dog rescue, right? Sometimes books are based on the setting. Maybe your memoir is based in Las Vegas and you've had this wild and crazy life living in Las Vegas. Guess what? That appeals to people who love Las Vegas. It is a destination. So if it's set in a destination town, Orlando, Vegas, Maui, places that people like to visit, that can actually help you focus on your audience. So back to Jenny Levine Fink and her gluten-free. If you look at her audience's interests, needs, and challenges, they're likely looking to remove gluten from their diets without feeling deprived. They're looking for recipes, they're looking for snacks, they're looking for ideas. They need to understand how to identify gluten, especially if it's an allergy. Gluten can make people really sick or even lead to death. So an allergy is a big deal, and learning how to cope with that is an absolute need and motivation for readers. So they're looking to gain inspiration. These are the motivations and the interests, needs, and challenges of her audience that she is serving through her blog, through her online events, through the content that she creates. So another question for you to ask when you're thinking about your audience: what are their interests, needs, and challenges, and how can you address them? I snagged a copy of The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. I think it might be the #1 best-selling book of all time. And I think that surprised even the author and the publisher. Purpose-Driven Life appeals to spiritual people who are looking for purpose. And it turns out that is a massive audience. So that book found a need in people wanting to live with purpose. Maybe your audience is as simple as that. All right, so once we understand our audience and the challenges that they're facing, their motivations, what we want to do is engage them through content strategy. Content marketing is basically sharing content in a wide variety of ways that serves the interests, needs, and challenges of your audience. This is how every influencer does it. And whether you like that term or not, influencers, top authors, they are sharing content in one form or another, I promise you. So take a look at your favorite authors and see how they're doing that. What I generally recommend for us nonfiction authors is that you choose at least one piece of foundational content. And by that, I mean either a blog, a podcast that you host, or videos that you host. Now, you could have a combination of these three, but ideally you want at least one. And because this is going to be the primary content that you are creating to connect with your target audience and drive traffic to your website. So written blog posts would be on your website. Podcast episodes would be shared on your website as individual blog posts. Video episodes or short video tips would be shared on your website as short blog posts. This brings content to your site and it addresses the needs, interests, and challenges of your target audience. In addition to that, we market content with email marketing, which, I mean, really, guys, if you did two things today, one would be start that foundational content, a blog, a podcast, or a video, and leverage email marketing. That is the power combination right there. There's also professional speaking, writing for print magazines or blogs or online newsletters. It's delivering podcast interviews, powerful marketing opportunity. And it's also social media, although I feel that social media has been a little bit oversold to us. Social media is a great way to connect with and build a following, but it doesn't necessarily lead to book sales. It can lead to other opportunities, but I don't necessarily think that social media is the end all be all. I think you need foundational content and email marketing above social media. Yes, I know that's a controversial statement I just made. So topics for the content you are creating and sharing. Number one that gets shared on social media is how-to advice. So you're addressing those interests, needs, and challenges that they have, and you're providing the solutions. You want to be a trusted resource. My goal in running the Nonfiction Authors Association and the Writers Conference is that I am a trusted resource for our nonfiction writing community. And those of you who've been around a while, I hope that's what you think, that I am a resource, that I provide value to you. And you can take that example and figure out how you in turn do that for your audience. Now, what I see a lot is these random acts of content marketing, meaning, people are on their social media showing where they had dinner last night or pictures from their vacation. And that's all fine and fun. And it does help people to get to know you on a more personal level, but it can also be confusing. You really want your content to be very focused on the needs, interests, and challenges of your target audience. If you want to sprinkle in some personal stuff periodically, great. But what you don't want is all this very confusing content. And I land on your page and I can't figure out what it's actually about. It's not speaking to me. So when you're engaging your community with content, you're there addressing those interests and challenges, figuring out how to build that relationship and provide them with value. So blogging, which is the foundation of your foundational content, whether you're doing written posts, video, or podcast episodes, is how we get found on Google. The more content you produce on a website, statistically, the more traffic your site will receive. It has benefits. It also can bring in your potential readers, help them want to buy books. You can impress them with the content you're writing because you're providing value. You're able to demonstrate your expertise. It can also impress media for potential interviews and things like that. And it helps you stand out because you're able to provide value to your audience and demonstrate your knowledge. Now, when it comes to blogging, please put that on your own website. I don't recommend third-party platforms like Medium because that is rented real estate. And Medium was really hot a couple of years ago and it's declined over the years. So for people who put all their effort into Medium, they aren't driving that traffic to their own websites. Now, you can have Medium in addition to your own website, but you really want to bring your traffic to your own hub. I get asked all the time, what website platform do you do? I recommend WordPress. I think it's a great option. Your web posts, your blog posts should include images, captivating titles, and yes, I recommend producing new content weekly. Remember, statistically, the more frequently that you blog, the more frequently you add content, the more traffic your site will receive. So keep that in mind, that once a week is a goal, a minimum goal. The more you do it, the more traffic your site will receive. Now, if you decide you want to host your own podcast, it is easier than ever to do this. I definitely would recommend you research your competition, listen to their shows, see what they're doing and how you can do it differently. You don't want to copy. We want to be different or better than what's already out there. You'll need a cover image, an intro. It's really pretty easy, and you can distribute your podcast. Buzzsprout is a great tool. It's very inexpensive to get your podcast listed up on iTunes and Spotify and the other podcast directories. You need some basic equipment. I'm coming at you on a Blue Yeti microphone, the one you see here, but there's Audio Technica. There's all kinds of higher end microphones that will give you great sound quality. You need to be able to hear your interviews, whether you do that with speakers or earbuds. I have a Logitech video camera up on a pedestal so that I'm not looking down at a laptop. I'm looking hopefully kind of straight ahead. You want some good lighting. That's really important. And by the way, Michelle Pfeiffer said the key to aging is good lighting. Could not agree more. And then something to elevate that camera. If you decide to create a YouTube channel, here's an example. Patrick Schwartfeger has done really well with his YouTube channel. He's a keynote speaker specializing in data trends and cryptocurrency and those kind of technical topics. And what he's done is you leverage video in a really big way by giving short 5-minute talks on video, talking head videos, as they're called, putting up clips of him speaking. And then those videos also go onto his website. They attract traffic and they help him land those high paid speaking gigs. All right, so you understand foundational content. That is how we deliver value to our audience and drive traffic to our website so we can sell more books. Now we want to take that content and get it out in the world. And as I said, I love email marketing. I think this is incredibly powerful. It is a much more engaged audience than your social media audience. Social media is very passive. If you post on Instagram at 8 o'clock this morning and I don't log in till tomorrow, chances are I won't see it. But if you send me an email, I'm going to see it one way or another. And we want to give people incentive to get our emails. So that means giving them some sort of reason to sign up. That could be sample chapters from your book, maybe a short video training. Maybe you signed up for this webinar. That is one way that we grow our email list. Maybe you have a reading guide or quizzes, things like that. These are ways that we basically entice people to sign up for our email list. This is James Clear. He wrote one of my favorite books, Atomic Habits, and his entire writing career started with an email newsletter. It comes out every Thursday. It's short and sweet. It is about improving your habits in your life, very focused topic. And he has over 1 million subscribers. So it's no wonder when his book came out, and it was a really well-written book, that it landed on the New York Times bestsellers and has sold millions and millions and millions of copies. Community groups are an opportunity. So if your target audience is gathering online in some online communities, it's a great idea to go join them there and get involved or start your own community. So as a widow, I'm involved in a number of online widows groups, not as much as I was 10 years ago, but I've been involved in these groups. So imagine when and if I finally write the widowhood memoir for fellow widows, right? Which is something I do want to do someday. I've been actively involved in these communities. So I can go to the community owners and say, hey, can I do a book giveaway? Hey, can I put out a call for beta readers? I can engage with these large communities of my ideal target audience. So look to Facebook and LinkedIn and see if you can find communities that are specifically where your target audience is congregating, and perhaps consider starting your own. As I said with social media, I don't think it's the be all end all. I also don't think you need to necessarily be on every network. My suggestion is that you pick 1 or 2 networks, the ones where your audience is spending time, and do those well. So if you're writing a business book, you should be spending some time on LinkedIn. That is a largely business audience. If you're targeting young readers, 30 and under, you probably should be doing some TikTok videos. If you're targeting a broad audience, maybe moms, maybe a lot of women in particular, but a general audience, Facebook is where it's at. Now, I don't think social media is necessarily the greatest place to sell books, but it is a great place to grow your email list. So we do that by sharing posts with our free downloads on them, or paying to promote the free webinar events. That's a great way that we leverage social media to grow our email lists, and also as a way to drive website traffic by sharing your foundational content. So your content strategy for social media, your blog posts, right? Your foundational content is number 1. Share that with your social media audience. People love images, inspirational quotes. Statistically, pictures of dogs and cats get shared, I think, more than anything else. So throw some dogs and cats into your images. So there's just all kinds of ways that you can produce quick and easy social media content, as long as it serves the interests, needs, and challenges of your target audience. I also definitely recommend guest posting for communities, for publications that reach your target audience. So maybe your members or your audience are members of a trade association or a nonprofit. Can you write for their blog or their newsletter or their print magazine? Right? So where are they spending time, and how can you contribute to the publications, the blogs, the websites that they're reading? Speakers sell books. I will say that all day. If you like speaking, or even if you don't like it, but you want to learn to like it, You can absolutely sell books as a speaker. Generally, going and speaking at events is one of my favorite ways to sell books because you've just engaged an audience, you've provided value, and they want to take a piece of that home with them. So, selling books at the back of the room is a great way to do this. And you can speak all day, every day. Honestly, if you're near any kind of metro area within an hour radius, there's all kinds of trade associations, chambers of commerce, companies, schools, retirement communities, you name it. There are endless places where you can be speaking. Trade associations in particular, I think are great because they have chapters, right? So large national or international trade associations tend to have local chapters in different cities, and those chapters often meet on a monthly basis and have guest speakers. So maybe your target audience is part of an association for architects, and there's architects meeting in cities across the country, and you're writing books for them, right? So you could potentially be speaking at all of those chapters or certainly at their national conferences. So also within those associations are the newsletters and the blogs and the publications. How can you contribute there? Meetup groups can be a really fun way to connect with people in your own backyard. Also, if you're traveling, maybe you're doing a road tour and you're going to be in Philadelphia or you're going to be in Dallas, Texas. Get on there and find the meetup groups that are reaching your target audience and pitch yourself as a potential speaker. And then, of course, online speaking. I love webinars. I love giving them. I love that I don't have to be on an airplane and lose 3 days of time. And I just think this is a lot of fun. I love educating my audience. So if you are so inclined, this is a wonderful way to connect with your audience. Free events, free webinars. You can do live streams on Facebook. LinkedIn has that now, YouTube. StreamYard is a really cool tool that allows you to live stream simultaneously. So if you are leveraging multiple social media platforms, that is an option as well. And if you do host events like this, you want to figure out how to attract your audience. Why did you show up today? Hopefully, because it was something in the description that made you think I could learn something today. And hopefully that's what's happening. So you want to write a compelling description. You want to create registration link, promote with ads. That's how we do it, and deliver something of value. And then I love handouts. So if I'm speaking anywhere, I always bring a handout. And I love this sticker. I took a picture of this years ago because it was on my water heater, and it's emergency shutdown instructions that came from a water heater vendor. And I thought that was genius because guess what's going to happen when my water heater goes out? I'm going to follow these instructions and I'm going to probably call these people because they just saved me. Right. So, what kind of handout can you give to your audiences or to your webinar attendees? You're all going to get a copy of these slides today. Always give a handout. And then we want to just cultivate a community. How can you engage your target audience? How can you connect with them? Have them be part of your beta reading community, provide value, invite them to contribute to your blog or be guests on your podcast. Pay attention to the questions they're asking you. I'm going to pay attention to every question I'm asked today. And my personal rule of thumb is if you ask me a question that I haven't yet answered with a piece of content, then it goes on a list and it will become an article, a podcast episode, a topic for a future webinar. I take all the questions of our audience very seriously because I know if you have that question, others do as well. And my job is to serve your interests, needs, and challenges. And it all comes back to creating for someone, for your niche audience, not just anyone, and not casting the net too broadly. So we want to narrow that focus in order to better connect with our audience. I could have created another community for all writers, but that's not a niche, and that creates a ton of competition. I saw a need in the market. Nobody was really talking to those of us who write nonfiction. And it was frustrating. I was looking for my people. Where are my fellow nonfiction writers? Can you carve out something that's missing in your space? So Questions for you to ask. Where is your audience spending time? What associations to belong to? What events are they attending? What online groups? What blogs do they read? What podcasts do they listen to? All of these questions are going to help you develop your marketing strategies so that you can reach them, connect with them, and ultimately sell more books. And then we want to keep it going. So you've got your niche, you're going to share your foundational content. You're going to leverage the content marketing strategies we talked about, like your email marketing, your speaking, your social media. Create that email marketing strategy, please. That's so important. And then keep it going. Do more of what works. Pay attention to the blog posts that are popular. Pay attention to the webinar events that get the most attendance. Those are topics that your audience is interested in. And then I always like to wrap with this idea that we are planting gardens, right? So if you walk out in your yard and you plant and water 3 seeds every day, what happens over time, especially in this fabulous springtime we're entering? Your garden grows, those plants will grow. It is the same thing with your book marketing. Lots of authors don't love book marketing. I get it. You'd rather be doing other things. But if you can plant 3 seeds every day, you can write a blog post, send out a podcast pitch, create a meme for social media, research a speaking opportunity, 3 things a day, under 30 minutes a day, those efforts will compound and add up, and you will grow a fantastic garden. So I want to take your questions. I know I went through this all 70 something slides very quickly, but before I do that, so first of all, please put them in the Q&A. I can see the numbers in the Q&A. There's lots of questions. I cannot wait. I'm going to answer them all. So put them in there for me. Before I do that, please just let me share for 2 minutes about our upcoming Nonfiction Writers Conference that happens next week. This is our 15th year. In 2010, I started the Nonfiction Writers Conference as an online event because there were nobody was speaking to us nonfiction writers. And I thought, I wonder if I could do this. And back then in 2010, we didn't have Zoom. We were dialing into teleseminar lines and listening to the live speakers. People came to that. I couldn't believe it. And year after year, they asked, how do we keep in touch? Which is what led to the evolution and the launch of the Nonfiction Authors Association 3 years later. But we have had phenomenal events. Thank goodness for Zoom, because it allows us to go live and see each other. This year, I'm really excited to welcome our opening speaker, Roxane Gay. We're talking about writing with courage and creating a legacy. What do you want to be known for with your writing? Whether or not you agree with Roxane's strong opinions in the world, she's a courageous writer. She puts her opinions out there and she gets criticized as well as celebrated. So there's a lot of lessons to learn there, because it is vulnerable for all of us to put ourselves out there online. And no matter what we do, we're going to face criticism. So she is a great example of how to manage that. So also within the conference, I'm really proud of how content rich our sessions are. We really focus on bringing in speakers who deliver a ton of value. So sessions this year include things like how to optimize for Amazon, how to boost your writing productivity. We're going to talk about AI promotion tools. I'm personally really excited about that one. We're other book promotion strategies. I'm going to be talking about revenue streams for writers. Several of our examples in the slides today: Donna Maria and her Indie Business Network, Jenny Levine Fink and her Good For You Gluten Free, Hannah Zachney and her Heart Wide Open Wellness Therapy Practice. They are all speakers at our conference this year, sharing their real world successes. So lots of fantastic content for you this year. We also have a very unique literary agent pitch panel where 16 authors are selected and they get 5 minutes each to share a pitch with our participating agents. They get feedback from the agents on how to improve the pitch, or, hey, that was really great. And then the agents, if they are interested, they will request proposals. Last year's conference landed 2 book deals out of 16 participants. So conference attendees have the option to apply to pitch the agents, and we select by random lotto 16 participants. And I'll tell you, not enough people apply. So you have a really good chance of getting on that panel. We also have private consultations. So we have, I think, almost 30 volunteer experts. We have literary agents, we have book marketing professionals, book coaches, ghostwriters, editors, all offering free 15-minute consultations. I'm doing 15-minute consultations, and there are still openings to schedule these. So as a conference attendee, gold, platinum, VIP, or thought leader, you can schedule up to 3 consultations with our pros one-on-one by either phone or Zoom. We also have a really fun attendee networking event. And believe it or not, you guys, I am an introvert. And I know we have a lot of introverts in our community. That is the nature of the beast of being a writer. But even introverts like our networking. It's not this big, weird to have to talk to strangers at a party situation. It's a facilitated small groups online where you're going to connect with fellow writers. And I just trust me, it is going to be more fun than you think it is. And people come out of this really raving about the experience and making new connections. Also, if you're not yet a member of the Nonfiction Authors Association, our members get a 33% discount. The authority members, VIP and thought leader members attend for free. So if you're not yet a member, you can join with conference registration. If we have members participating today or also past conference attendees, would you throw a note in the chat about what you love about it? That would be a great help. We'd love to see some new people join our community. Benefits of joining the association: we send out media leads every week. We have a massive database of content. I mean, any question you have will either be answered by that database or within one of our community events. We do several live Zoom events a month. I love leading those. We have a private Facebook group. We have legal agreements. We have a Meet the Members program where you can share your book launches, discounts off our courses. We have book master courses on publishing, marketing. We have a writing course coming up. I'm leading that starting this June. We have a summer writing course, and our members get discounts off those as well. So here's the deal, you guys. If you register today, I'm going to send you this bonus. I have never done this before, but I'm going to send you 2 of my favorite past speakers from the Nonfiction Writers Conference, Cheryl Strayed and Anna Quinlan. Both gave us wonderful discussions about writing and writing nonfiction and impacting readers. They're 2 of my favorite sessions we've ever done. So I will share the replays plus a link to last year's Pitch the Agents panel. I think this is a really fun watch, whether you want to pitch agents or not. It is very insightful to see how publishing works, what agents are looking for, and how it all comes together. So it's a really interesting session to watch. And if you're thinking about pitching the agents at our panel this year, this will definitely help you get prepped and know what to expect. So if you register today, or if you're here today and you're already registered, send an email to help@nonfictionauthorsassociation.com, help@nonfictionauthorsassociation.com. If someone could pop that in the chat, I'd appreciate it. And say webinar registration in the headline, and make sure you've registered for the conference. Caitlin will send you these replay links to Cheryl Strayed, to Anna Quinlan, and to last year's agent pitch session. I think you're going to love these, you guys. So we'd love to see you at the conference, nonfictionwritersconference.com. It starts next week. Recordings are shared the same day. So if you can't make all the live sessions, it's totally okay. You will be able to keep up if you want to, because the recordings are shared before the day is over. There's tons of handouts and bonus materials and slides. And we work really hard to make this a valuable event every year, and always satisfaction guaranteed. If you don't like it, we will refund your money. I have to say, knock on wood, I've never had somebody come back and say, that event was awful, I want my money back. Not once ever has that happened, but it's an open offer. All right. So thank you so much for listening to that. I'm going to take your questions now. Just want to remind you of our website links: nonfictionwritersconference.com. Conference starts next week. Nonfictionauthorsassociation.com. And I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn as well. All right. Let's get to the Q&A. If you have questions, please pop them in that Q&A box, and I am going to take your questions. So let me get this rolling here. What are my thoughts on hybrid do everything for you publisher? Hey, Brad, I love this question. Okay. First of all, let me define hybrid publishing for those of you who don't know. So there's self-publishing, right? Do it yourself, all the heavy lifting. There's traditional publishing where you pitch agents and you try to land a book deal. In between is what we call hybrid publishing. And basically what you're doing is hiring an experienced service provider to produce your book for you. I did this. I hired a hybrid publisher with my very first book, self-published book 20 years ago. And I did that because I'm not a DIY person. I was running a business. I didn't have the time or the inclination to do all of those things. If you are a DIY person and you're cool with going out and finding your designers and your editors and putting it all together, you absolutely can do that. If you're busy and you don't want to deal with all those details, that's what hybrid publishers are for. That's really the need that they're filling. So I'm a fan. Do your due diligence, research who you're going to hire. There's, reputation issues out there. So just do your Google searches, talk to references and things like that. But great question. Kristen, when delivering something to an audience, would your target be more like people who are interested in X already, or people who want to get into X? Or are those just different books, i.e. new dog owner's guide versus advanced dog training? Hey, Kristen, I think you just answered your question, right? So those are two different audiences. If somebody is just getting their first dog, they're probably not ready for advanced dog training. And conversely, if I've had a dog for many years, then I'm probably not seeking a book for new dog owners. So if I misunderstood, please do a follow-up and clarify that for me, but I think you answered it. Natasha, how do you get your speaking engagements? Great question, Natasha. So the organizations I mentioned, trade associations, anybody doing meetings, Rotary Club, Kiwanis, all these groups often have either a call for speakers, certainly for large events, there's a call for speakers, or you can go to the website and find out who's on the board, who's the event coordinator. So you may just send a cold email and say, hey, I'm interested in speaking. Here are my topics. And then I say, first thing to do if you want to be a speaker is put a speaker page on your website. So come up with 2 or 3 topics, write a great title and description. And imagine that description is going to be copied and pasted into an event program. And then start your outreach and start responding to those calls for speakers. By the way, every fall, I do a 3-week course on how to break into professional speaking. So we'll be doing that again this fall. Also, National Speakers Association is a great resource for speakers as well as Toastmasters. Janet, may I make an appointment to speak with you regarding handling pioneering nature of my work? Janet, if you are in the conference registration, yeah, I believe I still have some Ask a Pro sessions open. Please go ahead and make that appointment. Rachel, on the topic of marketing, do you have any recommendations for advanced review generation, specifically for nonfiction, NetGalley, Goodreads, etc., tend to be more geared to fiction? They do. They absolutely do tend to be more geared toward fiction. So Rachel, what I think the best way to get book reviews for those of us who write nonfiction is through beta readers and people that you're giving access to your book. So beta readers are your early readers. They're people you're giving access to your manuscript prior to the book launch. And I am of the belief that you should get as many beta readers as you can. I know this makes some people nervous. It might make you feel like, but then you're going to lose out on those sales. But my experience has been the opposite. So I had 400 beta readers for my previous book launch. And I didn't view that as 400 lost sales. I viewed that as 400 new champions of the book. And many of them went and bought the book. And I knew that because their reviews on Amazon showed up as verified purchases. Now, even with 400 beta readers, I did not get 400 book reviews because people forget, they get busy. We all do it, right? So that's also a numbers game. The more beta readers, the better. And then continue getting your book out into the hands of potential readers as an ongoing practice. And something I tripped myself up on when I got an email from a reader, that's one of my favorite things is when a reader emails me and says, hey, this was so helpful. Thank you so much. When you get those emails, and you should, your instant response should be, thank you so much. Could you please take a moment to post that as a review on Amazon? Get in the habit of asking. I was not doing that. So get in the habit of asking. I still struggle to do that. And by the way, if you've read my book marketing workbook and you haven't written a review at Amazon, please go do that. That's been a challenge. It's always a challenge. Patricia, where to get email lists? You can purchase access to curated email lists through one of the companies is dataaxle.com. I'll type this in for you and hopefully I'm spelling it correctly. I believe it's Data Axle. You guys, I might not spell this correctly. So if somebody wants to check me and pop it in there, I'd appreciate it. Formerly, it used to be Info USA. So Data Axle is one of the largest providers of email lists. So you could buy a list of, people who own candle stores or people who run restaurants, or there's just a wide variety of email lists that you can purchase there. And there's other services, but that's just a really reputable one. Michael, are Amazon ads worth the time and expense? So thank you, Kathy, for posting that link. So Michael, yes, I love Amazon ads, and especially for nonfiction. I think that when done correctly, they can absolutely help you sell more books. We have a couple of sessions at the conference about this. Mark Paul will be speaking about how he has sold 60,000 copies of his memoir using nothing but Amazon ads. He has no platform, no social media presence. 60,000 copies of his memoir. And then we also have Janet Margot from Book Geeks Marketing giving a presentation on Amazon ads. So I'm a huge fan. I absolutely think they're worth it. You just need to learn how to set them up properly. Linda, do you have a tip for finding book clubs? I'd be happy to speak for them, but I can't find them. I've only done one so far. Hey, Linda. Yeah, you know where book clubs congregate? Meetup.com is one place to find them. Also, local libraries have book clubs. So yes, you can absolutely, it's a little bit more effort. Book clubs do tend to be fiction centric, right? So finding nonfiction book clubs might be even trickier, but I would definitely do some Google searches as well. There used to be a website for book club, like a directory of book clubs. I don't know if that still exists or not, but definitely doing some hunting for those and hoping you find ones that are open to nonfiction as well. Natasha, what do you think about insurance? Should we get professional liability insurance as content creators? And giving advice. So, boy, not a legal professional here. This is not legal advice. I'm not an insurance provider. I think that this is my personal opinion. It depends on the kind of advice you're giving. Definitely, if you are giving any kind of health advice, anything that could impact somebody's well-being, I definitely think insurance is a wise choice. As we're technically all business owners. Once you publish a book, you're an entrepreneur, right? So we're technically all business owners and should have some sort of professional liability. It's called E&O insurance, errors and omissions. It's relatively inexpensive, but I don't necessarily think everyone needs it. If your platform gets large, if you're giving a lot of advice specific to health or medical, things like that, wellness, mental health, then yes, I would say that's a for sure need for insurance. Barb, what advice can you give for someone whose book solves a problem that people don't always want to admit they have? Hey, Barb, that's a mighty challenging question. So I can only guess at your topic so that you didn't mention what it is, but I talked to another author about this recently with the topic of codependency. So it's a challenge that people may not even recognize that they're codependent, and if they don't really want to own it. So I get that. So what we talked about was changing some of the languaging around it. So maybe it's finding an angle that people are more able to connect with. So in the codependency example, we talked about people pleasing, for example. That's a little bit easier to admit. I'm a recovering people pleaser, so not all people pleasers are codependent. However, it is language that makes it a little bit easier to connect. So I would say trying to find some different ways to position it, whatever your topic is, probably a strategy. Also, quizzes. I love quizzes, and quizzes are a great way to build your email list. So maybe you have a quiz that helps somebody identify this about themselves, and then they can go on to say, oh, I am a codependent. Okay, what are the resources that you're going to help provide me with? So whatever your topic is, that might be another strategy. Hey there, PM. Is there a link to apply for pitching to an agent during the conference? I look for one. Yeah, the link, if you're registered for the conference, is in your conference Dropbox folder. So the instructions for agent pitches for all of you who are currently registered for the conference in your conference Dropbox folder. Same for Ask a Pro sessions, by the way, the instructions for scheduling those. I encourage you to take advantage of those, you guys. This is a great opportunity. Rachel, any specific paid marketing services that have made a big impact for you? Virtual assistants, Rachel. I'm such a fan. If you're not familiar, a virtual assistant is basically an administrative professional that you can hire on a contract basis that can do your podcast research, help you manage your blog, help you with your social media. So you could hire someone for 5 hours a month or 5 hours a week to handle all those tasks that you're either procrastinating about, don't have enough time for, don't want to handle. And that's, to me, the most financially savvy way to get marketing help. It is very expensive to hire book marketing companies, publicity services. Now, there's a place for those things, especially if you maybe have an unlimited budget or you have other motivations, but it's very hard to earn back those investments in book sales. So I'm a huge fan of hiring virtual assistants. We maintain a list of virtual assistants who work with authors at nonfictionauthorsassociation.com under recommended resources. Hannah, what is the email ask again for bonus materials you're graciously giving? Oh, okay. So you can get the bonuses when you register for the conference, and then you send an email to help. I'm going to put it in the chat at nonfictionauthorsassociation.com. So send an email that you have registered for the conference. You're collecting your webinar bonus. So you register today or you've previously registered, you can collect that bonus. It's a today only special offer. I've never shared those before. Linda, do you have a tip for finding? We talked about book clubs. How do you start the process of beta readers? Hey, Joseph. So beta readers involves reaching out to your community of influence, offering people early access to the book. We have a free report on this, Joseph, on the ultimate guide to beta readers. If you go to nonfictionauthorsassociation.com under freebies, you can download that report. It's a big one. It's like 13 or 15 pages that will walk you through the entire process completely free, because I'm serving the needs of my audience and demonstrating that for you guys. Mary, where do you find beta readers? Okay, that was also just previously asked. So Mary, you go get that report too. Facebook groups for sure, your social media following, your email followers, people in your writers groups. If you're looking for beta readers right now, throw it in the chat. Maybe you've got some people here who'd like to participate. Feel free to share that in our chat here. I'm more than happy to support that for you. Where and how do you hire assistants? So we maintain a list on nonfictionauthorsassociation.com under recommended resources. We have a list and we also have some resources to virtual assistant associations. Andrea, I want to choose a niche audience and wonder how I find out who of the possibilities has the greatest need and easiest to find and decent quantity of them and least competition. And by the way, I know we're at the top of the hour. If you can't stay, the recording will be shared. I understand if you have another meeting, I'm going to stay and continue to answer questions. I just want to thank you all for being here. So yeah, if you have to go, I completely understand, but let's stick around and answer questions. Narrowing your audience, you do have to do some research. First of all, look at the competition, right? So who's already targeting your audience? Who is hosting a podcast? Who is writing a blog? Who are authoring the books that are similar to yours? Start there. And if there are no books, podcasts, or blogs about your topic, that might actually be a problem. That might mean the audience isn't large enough. I mean, so you can certainly get really granular and do industry research and look for data, or you can start paying attention to your competitors. How big are their audiences? If a fellow author is connecting with your community and they've got 10,000, 20,000, a million followers, there's an audience for that topic. And by the way, there's room for more than one expert in any given field. Is there room for thousands of experts? That's the challenge, right? That's why we want to niche down. There's absolutely room for multiple experts on aging dogs, for multiple experts on finding happiness after divorce, for multiple experts on nonfiction book publishing and marketing, right? There's room. We're all attracted to different people, different styles of communication. I'm a big believer in abundance. There's plenty of readers and business and clients to go around. Let's see. Mark, I don't have a website. My publisher says my book will come out in October. I'm not very tech savvy. Who do you recommend that can help me create a website? Ooh, Mark, great question. Mark, if you want to send an email to help@nonfictionauthorsassociation.com with this question, I will send you we have a web designer who's about to announce author websites, and you'd be a great one for him to start with. He's actually been our designer for years. And I've encouraged him to do this because we get asked this question so often, and he's very talented. If you can send an email to help and with your question, I'll make sure we get you that contact information. I don't have it off the top of my head. But also for DIY, if you're not able to hire a web designer, I mean, Wix.com is a good starter DIY type option for websites as well. Did we do it, guys? Did we get through all the questions? Wonderful questions. Thank you so much. If you still have a question, you can pop it into Q&A. I'm happy to stay, but I know we all have days to get on to. I appreciate Mary's posting her email. If you are looking for beta readers, I'd love to see you guys connect with each other. You're welcome to do that. And I'd love to see you at our conference next week. I hope this event was valuable today for you and gives you some fresh ideas. We will share the slides. We will share the recordings. Those will be out this afternoon. Check your inbox. It might be in your promotions folder if you're using Gmail. Marcus is a safe sender, so you're not missing these emails. And just thank you so much for spending your time. Oh, Joseph, I'm going to answer this real quickly. Is there a risk in sending the book to beta readers? Always put a copyright statement on your work and vet your beta readers. You don't want to send it to everyone. I created a registration form so I could make sure people were real. Is there a risk? It's a very slight risk, especially if you're getting your beta readers through, known communities where you know people and they know you. Can someone take your work and pirate it? Yeah, but they can also do that once the book comes out. And does it happen? Yes. Is it common? No. So make sure your content is registered with copyright.gov. It's a $30 registration, and always put a copyright statement on your work. All right, guys, this was great fun. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I hope to see you at the event next week. If you register for conference today or you're already registered, you can get those bonus recordings by sending your email to help@nonfictionauthorsassociation.com. The conference website is nonfictionwritersconference.com. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you so much. Enjoyed this very much. Take care.
Thank you for attending this webinar by the Nonfiction Authors Association. Since 2010, we have helped thousands of writers learn to write, publish, and promote books that make a difference in the world. If you need support navigating the complexities of the publishing industry and want to reach your author goals faster, you can learn about membership benefits, courses, and additional resources by visiting nonfictionauthorsassociation.com.